Good afternoon, my God. I was told this is the most eagerly awaited event today, but I felt sort of you guys are asleep. So can I hear it one more time? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Awesome. So just a little bit of introduction about myself. My name is Siddharth, CIT alum. I went to CMU about 10 years ago, barely graduated with a degree in electrical and computer engineering. I've been back in India now for about 8 to 9 years. I presently work in the renewable energy space, a company called Renew Power. So I'll just give a quick introduction of my co-panelists. There's Meghna Kayam. She's a recent graduate from MISM, worked briefly in IBM in the States. Now she's back, deciding her next course of action. Then we have Riya. She's a recent graduate in the EC department. She works for one of India's hottest startups, Reliance Jio, in Bombay. And Tejas, can you come up stage? You'll have to share a mic though, but have a seat. Tejas is an undergrad, junior now? Yeah. He's a junior now, so we've tried to represent as many different students as possible, from a very old alumni to a very young alumni to moderately young old alumni. So how this is going to work is it's basically open session. I find this session is most eagerly anticipated by the parents. How many parents here? Okay. So sometimes they are more concerned.
And how many nervous parents now?
They are not nervous at all. Great. So I think briefly we'll speak for 2 minutes about our experience at CMU, and then you guys can shoot questions. My humble request is don't make the question too specific. We don't want to give advice. I'm sure every situation is specific, but hopefully at the end of the session you'll have a flavor of what to expect at CMU, and hopefully some anxieties and some doubts which you had in your mind will get cleared off. So that is the purpose of this panel. Maybe Tejas, you need a mic.
Yeah, here you go. Hi, my name is Tejas Reddy. I'm about to be a junior going into CMU. So I'm actually going to be an orientation counselor, so you'll be seeing a lot more of me, the undergrads at least. I'm not really sure about the graduate students, but I can definitely speak about the current life at CMU and at Pittsburgh. I guess I can start with my experience going into CMU as an undergrad, first year. Like many of you, I grew up here in Bangalore. Even though I am a US citizen, most of my life I spent in Bangalore. So going into university, I had a lot of nerves and a lot of questions because everything I knew about college was from, exaggerated forms in movies, frats, drinking, parties. It's not that, don't worry. But yeah, when I went there, I was a shy introvert, just really nervous about what they would think of me, being an international student and how that translates for, US citizens and US students. But as soon as I got there with the orientation and everything, I completely felt at home. And a big part of that was actually just orientation and orientation counselors, because the biggest thing that they stress is, that you have a place here, this is a safe space, a safe community that you can trust and that you can make friends in. And even to this day, some of my best friends are the orientation counselors I met on the first week I was there. But essentially what I want to talk about is the idea that whoever you are, whatever interests you have, you are going to find a place at CMU. I was a shy introvert and I still found a place. CMU is where I found my love for acting and musical theater. It's where I continued my passion for dance. And it's where I study business, and it's where I call home, although my parents don't agree with that, but I call it home. But yeah, and I think a big testament to how great CMU is and how much of a home and how much of a community it is the alumni, actually. Being part of a Greek organization and helping out with a lot of the networking events and alumni events back in Pittsburgh, it's afforded me opportunities to connect and to talk with these kinds of alumni. And the one thing I noticed among all the alumni was that they all shared a love for CMU. They all cherished their moments at Carnegie Mellon, and they always look forward to coming back and visit. So. But yeah, that's about as much as I feel like saying right now. But if you have any questions, I'll be here to answer any doubts and concerns. I know undergrads, even though you don't want to say it, there's a lot of concerns and a lot of things you might have questions about. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Tejas. Maybe Ria?
Yeah, so I'm a recent graduate from Carnegie Mellon University, 2017 grad. Well, when I started my master's at CMU, and to summarize, it was a roller coaster ride. Like, I just don't know when I began and when it got over. And probably that 1.5 year what I've spent at CMU, I've never worked so hard, and I think I'll never have to work that hard again. Like, when I'm at work right now, it just feels like, okay, that's less work, because CMU's like done it all. Like, I've been through the extreme, that would I would say. Take CMU as a place to explore as much as you can. And I would say one thing I regret is like, I just took things too seriously. So there are many fun things which probably I missed out, thinking that I'm going to stay back. But looking back, I think I should have done them. So just keep that balance, and I think you're going to be at a great place ahead. Thank you.
Thanks, Ria. Meghna?
All right. So I graduated in 2016. I went to Heinz for public policy and data science. And following that, I did consulting with IBM for a couple of years, and then I recently moved back a few months ago. With regards to my experience at CMU, I can say categorically that it's been one of my best experiences so far, in terms of making friends, in terms of being amongst intellectual people, in terms of challenging myself, in terms of pushing yourself and realizing that you can actually do anything you put your mind to. It's just that the environment that you are in, it's a really good one. Sometimes for some people it can get challenging. It can, the stress can get the better of you, but you just have to make sure that, it's not the end of the day. It's not, at the end of the day, it's just your degree, and it's the experience that you're getting from there. So don't get too bogged down by, oh my God, I need to finish this coursework, or I have this test to give, or any of that. You should take it across the board. Like she said, don't miss out on other things. Try to maintain that balance. And also, don't always look at academics, because at the end of the day, your GPA, yes, it does matter, but try to participate in all the other events that happen within the CMU community. It helps you build bonds that last after you graduate also, and that is, I think, a lot more important than a GPA on your resume. So, yeah.
Awesome. That was very well put. From my perspective, I went to CMU a lot younger than most of you. I went there when I was 17 years old. And what CMU taught me was time management, because as a 17-year-old, I had my mom and my dad coming to my room and saying, are you studying, are you studying? When I went there, it was nobody. And I really struggled through that. That's something you might face, and maybe some of you who are younger. Secondly, it taught me the value of persistence. On a lighter note, if you can get up and attend your 8:30 class on a cold Pittsburgh winter morning, I think you will do pretty well. I struggled with it. I slept through most of my 8:30 a.m. classes, to be honest. And like Meghna said, I think the values and the way you work and the way you learn, that will stay with you throughout your professional career. It's not exactly what you learn there, it's how you learn. It'll teach you a lot of things which are probably very different to the education you've had till now. So those are my 2 cents. And probably we can open it up for questions now.
If I could just add one more thing. I feel like this is important. You are getting an opportunity to go to a completely different country, to experience a completely different culture. I feel like it's very important to try to make connections with people from different countries who come from all over the world. It really broadens your perspective. It makes you a lot more tolerant towards understanding other cultures, and I think that's very, very important. It's going to be a piece that you miss out on if you go all the way there and try to stick to your own comfort zone. You're really going to miss out. So consciously make an effort. It might be hard because Indians in general are a lot in CMU, but consciously try to make an effort to meet with people from other countries. It really helps.
Yeah, if I can add to that. you know, going in as an undergrad, that's actually one of the concerns I had is that, you know, how am I going to connect with these people? They're part of a completely different culture. But honestly, all you got to think about is they're all first year, they're all coming into college as same as you. They're all as excited and as nervous as you. They don't have a leg up on you or anything. They're as nervous as you, and they don't know how to talk to you as well. So just make the first move. Just be very social. You know, talk with anyone you can, and you're bound to make some really good friends.
Any
Great.
questions?
Now, it's that first question that always needs a little prodding. Once the first question comes, the floodgates
From
open.
Roy.
Yeah, for sure.
You say you're pursuing your business and also doing dance and you know, which is fantastic. So can you tell us how that is happening?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously, you know, doing business and doing a minor in psych and all that, that does take a bit of your time. It does, you know, academics is important, as she said. But for me, I always had an interest in dance. I always had a passion for it. And as an extracurricular, I didn't want to let go of it, even when coming to college. And I was so glad when I came to college that it was still a very big organization on campus as well. But honestly, what I'd say is if you are really interested in something, whether it's extracurriculars or some other activity, apart from academics, I'd say go for it. You're going to have the time. You're going to be able to make the time for it. You know, coursework, it is hard. It is tough. It can always be tough. There's projects, there's finals, whatever there is. But you're always definitely going to have time to focus on other activities as well. So you won't be completely exhausted under the academics and coursework. And me being part of dance, I'm also head of a dance team on campus called Soul Styles, which is an advanced hip hop team. We compete a lot, so I'll travel a lot. So if I can keep up with coursework, don't worry, you can too. And for musical theater, I never thought I'd go into theater or acting, but musical theater and that kind of community is also there at CMU, and I never expected to join that. And I guess what I'm saying is just be open to trying new things. There's so many things. There's fencing, there's snowboarding, skiing, there's musical theater, there's dance, there's everything you can possibly imagine. And even if you don't have a set club or a set organization in the school, very unlikely, but if it does happen, don't worry, you can just make your own club. I know one of my best friends actually in the first year, his name's Bo. In the first year, he was really interested in tricking, which is a kind of, for those of you who don't know, it's like gymnastics and flips and tricks. It's very entertaining, very sportive, very athletic. But the problem was there wasn't actually a club or an organization available on campus for it. And that didn't really stop him at all. He just went out, found people in the CMU community who had similar interests and who were interested in the same things, and they applied to be an organization and a club themselves. And currently they're a great club. I love to show them off whenever I give families tours of the campus. They're always on the cut doing completely different tricks, and it wows the crowd. So it's an amazing experience. But yeah, just you're going to have time to do all that. You're still going to be able to manage your time well, and it's actually something that I learned pretty quickly. So yeah.
Okay. I'm a student who's starting this fall. So I want to ask you two best. The first.
So I'm starting this fall, and I want to ask for two bests from all the alumni who are sitting up on the panel. So the first thing is, what was the best event which happened in CMU which you believe everybody should get a chance to experience? And the second is slightly academic, please forgive me. Which was the best course you took which you would maybe tell people to take, and for what reason?
You remember?
Yeah, let me search my memory. The best event, I think we can all agree, the highlight of the CMU is Spring Carnival. That's when the weather gets better in Pittsburgh, the sun comes out, and everybody really gets into it. You have booths, you have all the frats putting up booths, you have great food, you have the Ferris wheel, you have like a carnival atmosphere. So that's something you should definitely take part in, and I'm sure it's gone bigger over the years. I haven't been on campus for 10 years, but that's something you should definitely be part of. And your second question was, what course should you take? Best course I took, okay. So in CMU, they have a very interesting concept called STUCO. That means student-led courses. So there used to be this course this guy used to take called How to Be a Player. So for those of you who don't know, CMU, we are basically nerds. I mean, most of us haven't spoken to women before coming to campus. So I actually went for this course with my friend for a week. I dropped out of it, but that course, I'm pretty sure, is not available on any other campus anywhere else. So that would be the most interesting course. But on the academic front, there's Professor John Mackey's course. I still remember as principal of maths. He's an awesomely cool teacher if you get your master's students, but you should take that course. It's very entertaining, and how he manages to sort of instill a sense of wonder and curiosity with basic mathematical principles. Some course I really enjoyed. And one of the few courses I got an A in, so I still remember that. So, yeah.
Okay. So you said the best event, right? Is there anybody, like how many people go to Heinz? Oh yeah, okay, not too many. Well, he said Spring Carnival, which is really great. So I don't want to repeat that. In terms of my experience, well, I went to the public policy school, right? So there was this really cool 2-day workshop that was around international negotiation, and it just so happened that that time, it was, like that year, it was about negotiating about Kashmir between Pakistan and India. So like you have teams where every team represents a country, like there's a delegation, and you go into these rooms trying to, and there's also like a UN delegation, so you go trying to mimic how you would negotiate with the other party, and it's a phenomenal experience, because you just realize how difficult it is to do these things. And so that was a really good experience and one of a kind experience for me, but I mean, I guess probably won't apply to many of you. But yeah, the Spring Carnival is a lot of fun. In terms of classes that I took at Heinz, there were quite a few that are really nice. It's hard to pick. Well, there was one from the CS department that I took that was on machine learning by Tom Mitchell that was really nice. Apart from that, I don't like saying who my favorite teachers are, but in Heinz, Jonathan Calkins has really, really good classes. So if anyone can get a chance to take those, you should.
Yeah, so like they already mentioned, Spring Carnival is like the highlight of CMU. That's the only time when you feel like you're on a campus which is not nerdy, probably. And the second thing I think was the painting the fence on the 15th of August.
That was fun.
Like you paint your Indian flag onto it. So that's one event. I think if you are on campus that point of time, definitely you should try
And I think
that.
that'll probably be your first event, because you just go
Yeah.
there then. So yeah, I remember that being my first like,
Yeah.
gathering.
And the class I have liked the most is Advanced Multimodal Machine Learning. It's offered by the LTI department, and it's taught by Louis Philippe Morency. Yeah.
For me, okay, so Spring Carnival is obviously the official answer. It's a very fun event, and for me being a part of a Greek organization, it is doubly special because it's a competition for us to try and win the different events that are happening during Carnival, whether it's buggy racing or booth or any of those things. But I think apart from that, if I have to give a different answer, I'd say, well, I am biased because I'm a dancer, but any of the shows, on campus, whether it's, Dancer Symposium or musical theater or Scotch and Soda or any of those shows, even the School of Drama holds shows which are amazing. So I really urge you to, take a break sometimes and go and watch those kinds of shows because it's very, very fun. It's just a great, change of pace from the coursework and the academic workload that you have. And painting the fence is always a great way to bond with people as well. I hope everyone's actually familiar with painting the fence. Who is not familiar with painting the fence?
I don't think it would
Oh,
be.
okay, a few.
Yeah.
So just to clarify for you guys, painting the fence is where an organization, most of the time, sends a few of its students to basically hold the fence, which is like it's literally a fence in the middle of the cut or in the middle of the campus. And you go there and you hold it until midnight, and as long as 2 or 3 people are holding the fence, the entire org afterwards comes to paint the fence at midnight. And it sounds pretty silly now, but it's a great bonding experience, and it's amazing to just go to class the next day and just see like an org that you didn't even know existed, just painted on painting their colors on the fence. So it's a really amazing experience.
Well, I think Holi is also really big at CMU. I personally just, I'm not into Holi, but it's supposed to be a lot of fun, and I guess, people enjoy it a lot. I've
Definitely a
seen really
lot of
good pictures.
For sure.
Yeah.
As for my favorite class, I do love all my business classes, whether it's finance or corporate finance or whatever. But I actually have two answers, which are kind of a tie. One's not really academic. It's actually a Stuco called improv comedy. It's actually, now that I think of it, what began my journey into musical theater, because the improv comedy Stuco was organized by the Scotch and Soda Theater Group. And honestly, I do not regret it at all. Academically, I think it's social psychology. I know it's not anything related to my major, but honestly, that was one of the first courses that I truly loved, just because of the professor, Shante Boyd. She was an amazing professor. She made a course that I was just taking as a requirement, probably one of the best courses I've ever taken. She literally walked into the class and say, "How many of you have been part of a cult?" And because the entire idea is like how you understand the social pressures and aspects that are, aspects that go into a decision or an individual's decision in society. And honestly, it was a very fun and unique experience taking that course. It's actually what led to my minor.
Thank you for those really interesting answers. I know now what I have to look forward to.
Any other questions? Wow, really nothing? Oh, great.
Tell us, for the first time, we as Indians have never seen snow. Tell us your first experience of snow, and then the cold, the bitter cold, and
Yeah, I can tell you all about that. So I hope you guys didn't make this mistake. I made the mistake of, first off, not choosing my first year dorm in time. And so I got assigned Shirley Apartments, which for those of you who don't know is the farthest dorm from campus. And unfortunately, while it was a great walk in the warmer weather, in the winter, it was absolute torture. And the reason for that is because of snow and because of the cold. But honestly, it's definitely a change from Bangalore weather. It's not what you'd expect, but snow is really fun. It gets cold. I urge you to pack warm clothing. But it is a lot of fun. I was a part of the snowboard team for a while, so I loved the snow because they would always take us to these ski retreats during the winter, or ski training at the different hills that are close to Pittsburgh. And honestly, it was a lot of fun. I don't regret snow at all. I mean, Pittsburgh weather is pretty radical, I'd say. It changes a lot, especially recently. But go climate change. But yeah, snow is definitely a fun experience, and I think you'll definitely like it. Hopefully.
Yeah. So I think my first snow was when I think I was doing an assignment. So I used to stay on the ground floor, and it started snowing. I didn't know. So it was 5 in the morning, and I just opened up my blinds, and it was all white. And I went out, and it was so beautiful, as if I was in a fairy land or something. And I just stood there without any sweaters or anything, looking around. It was a bliss to watch it. Then the next morning I woke up, it was pretty dirty because the car started and all. And that's when the reality struck, because I didn't buy my jackets by then, I think. So I just went out with the sweater I got from home, and then I was like, okay, I don't like snow, and I'm slipping around and stuff. So, but the first time I saw snow, I probably think that's the best sights I've ever seen. And I still have those pictures, and it was awe, basically.
Yeah, winter in Pittsburgh is magical. I just love the winter, even though people dread it. I really, really like it because everything is just so white and pretty. So don't look down, don't look at the road, just look straight, okay?
Exactly.
It's really, really pretty. And in terms of so I think for me, it wasn't that much of a shock, because when I was in your place, there were people who were like, Pittsburgh weather is oh my God, it's gonna be a pain. So I just went in with Pittsburgh weather is gonna drive me crazy. And then And then it wasn't actually that bad. So it's really bad. So just go with that and you'll be fine. But just have a good jacket, make sure you have good boots, and watch out for black ice, and then you're sorted. I was fortunate enough not to fall, but a few of my friends have slipped and fallen. But yeah, you should be fine. And it's a great place, Pittsburgh, in general. So I think you'll really have a good time.
So yeah, my obviously being brought up in Bangalore, I'm very spoiled. But on a very serious note, I think for some people, your first winter can be depressing because the amount of sunlight you see is drastically reduced. So it does tend to affect people. It affected me for the first winter I spent there. But it does get better. So after graduation, I moved to Chicago, which is twice as bad. So you gradually get used to it, but just watch out for that winter. Our brains need a certain amount of sunlight, and sometimes when you come from a tropical climate, it does affect you. So be aware of that. Be aware that your body will react differently to a lack of sunlight. So just be on guard for that. But
so when there is sunlight, be outside. Because you need the vitamin
exactly.
D, okay? So just be outside. When there's sun, be outside.
Yeah, even like a sliver of sunlight, people will come out and be doing something. So yeah, enjoy the sunlight.
You just appreciate it a lot more in Pittsburgh because you get so little of it.
Yeah.
I would just add that in winter, enjoy the snow, go out skating, skiing. Those are things you'll never do later. Yeah, enjoy that. We enjoyed it so much. We used to take those riding trains and go down the slopes, in the winter. So do all of that. Enjoy every moment that you can.
One more thing, is there anyone going to the B school? Anyone at all? Okay, so one more event that you might be interested in is Professor Kekre's annual Diwali party. It gets sold out in like 3 to 4 seconds. Right, and it's an awesome party that you can go to. It's an awesome event. Only for B school students.
Question? Yes.
So it's a pretty general question. So I'm sure things get hectic and there are a lot of events to go to and things like that. Do you have any tips for time management? I don't know if it's a...
I would say there are 24 hours in a day. Please make use of them very, very carefully. And I think like, if you plan that you want to go to an event, so this happened with me, and by the time I realized I was already in my last semester. If you plan that you want to go to an event, you already have your assignment scheduled. You will make it a point that you finish things in time and end up in that event. But if you just think like, okay, I'm going to see how the assignment goes and then go to that event, then probably you're not going to end up in that event. Yeah, and the 24 hours are like really, really important. Like that's what I've realized ever since I've been to CMU.
Yeah, actually coming into CMU, I think I quickly learned time management is important. Google Calendar is very nice for that. And honestly, I'd say once you like sign up for your courses, I'm sure you already probably have. Just look at the syllabus, look at the schedule. There's always a schedule that's assigned to most courses, so you already know like when assignments are due, when the exams are, and whatnot. So put that into a calendar of some sort, and then you know what kind of time you have. And honestly, when you join a lot of organizations as well, Google Calendar. I'm not sponsoring or anything, but Google Calendar is really, really useful. So I definitely urge you to try it out. Yeah.
Well, I would say regardless of your time management, get sleep, because I feel like if you sleep enough, you will be productive enough. It really doesn't work the other way. What else did I want to say? It just passed me. Don't try to do things like 100% perfectly, because then you just tend to spend too much time on an assignment which you could just wrap up and then move on to the next thing. And also don't overload yourself with coursework. Take what you can manage, and if you then feel that you can still take up more, then maybe in the next semester, try something else. But don't overload yourself, because it's just not worth it.
Yeah, so my 2 cents, I'd agree with her. I mean, it's adjacent to time management, but get plenty of sleep and exercise. That's something I learned not very quickly, probably at the end of my second year, that getting good sleep and exercise increases your energy levels to do more in the day. So if I don't sleep properly, I don't exercise, I'm getting like 10 hours and then I feel, oh my God, I'm overloaded. But if I do sleep properly, I do exercise, I get 12, 13 hours and that's plenty of time. It's to get your work done. So yeah.
What about sports and CMU?
Sports.
Do
Ooh.
graduate students actually have time for sports?
Okay, that's your question there.
And what sports again?
I don't know.
And what sports again?
So I used to play cricket with a lot of graduate students. I have taught a lot of Americans how to play cricket. Was a little bit futile, but a huge, again, cricket is dependent on the season. So usually when the sun comes out, we used to take a couple of those garbage bins and start playing cricket. Other than that, I mean, facilities are even better than when I was, you probably know, they've expanded the gym and it's like, I was just on campus a couple of weeks ago, so the facilities have expanded manifold. So if you have a sport or a passion, I'm sure there would be a facility for you to play and whatever not.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't really say anything about how much time graduate students have. But as far as sports are concerned, we have great facilities. We have tennis courts, although I feel like the tennis team uses that a lot more. We have a football field. We have a soccer field as well. So yeah, we do have recreational clubs for pretty much all of those sports. We have a swimming pool. We have all sorts of things. So honestly, whatever you're interested in, whether it's basketball, swimming, soccer, football, whatever the case is, you probably would have time to do that.
So when I ask people about life in CMU, they talk a lot about networking and meeting people and setting aside time for that. And in India, for sort of job search, we are sort of spoon-fed jobs also, and I'm sure that's not the case there. So combining both, do you have any strategy for meeting new people, looking at opportunities, and finding jobs in general? Are there any I'm sure there are no foolproof plans, but best practices. So
there's a lot of there's multiple job fairs across across the year, so you will have a lot of opportunities to meet various recruiters from various companies. As far as meeting people or networking, I love to do it. I love to talk to new people. I don't know if I have a strategy as much, but honestly, just go up to people. You'd be surprised how many people just would be willing to talk. And honestly, if you just go up to them, ask them, ask them about what they do, and show a genuine interest in what they are interested in, then you will probably make a really good connection with them, and probably that connection could pay off sometime in the future, hopefully. But yeah, there's also a lot of opportunities for networking as well, I'm sure. I'm not really sure about the other schools. I know for Tepper, there's a lot of different networking events that you can actually get involved in. I have been involved in that myself. So, and there's also a lot of alumni events that happen on campus. So a lot of times you can definitely just go up to alumni and talk to them, because they're more than willing to talk to you. You were both CMU students. So yeah, everyone's really open to talk. And I feel that's kind of one difference that you see. I'm not really blaming Indian culture for that, but I'd say in the US, people are more open to talking to strangers and talking to people that come up to them and ask them questions about various things. So don't be afraid or don't be scared to talk to people. Yeah.
Yeah, and to just add up, like most of the recruiters who come on campus are probably the CMU alumni itself. So if you're interested in a specific role and you go up to that person, you can always ask them questions like what courses they took or what courses could be relevant to the position you are looking at, because they know the in and out of CMU, they know which courses are going to matter. And yeah, and also ask them if you could connect on LinkedIn and maybe use it later. I mean, it pretty much works out with a lot of people I know.
Also, I do have an interesting story about, because if you were worried about jobs and getting jobs or getting recruited for jobs, I'm not going to say it's easy to get a job, but I'm going to say you're going to have a lot of opportunities to. And a really fun story I have for that, or an interesting story, is actually just my roommate was just coming to CMU, like we were both about to arrive for orientation week, and on the flight over, he met someone, he was Japanese, and he met someone, another person who was in the aisle across, who was also Japanese. They got to talking, and coincidentally, that guy worked for Google. And so once the subject of college came up, my roommate mentioned that he was going to CMU, and without even a second thought, the recruiter, or not really a recruiter, just the guy who worked at Google, said, like, whenever you graduate, here's my number, give me a call. And, you know, that's a connection right there. So don't worry about opportunities to get jobs or to get recruited for different things. There's a lot of different opportunities for that, and you're definitely going to find a job that you like.
Yeah, and just to emphasize on that, don't be hesitant at all. We usually, I don't know, have a tendency to be quiet in a room full of people. And I think you're going to experience this when you go, even in the classroom over there, you'll see there's a lot more interaction between the teacher and the students than you probably would have seen in your undergrad over here. So just get used to opening up, just get used to speaking up, just get used to walking up to a stranger and just, you know, striking up a conversation with them. And like I said, make sure you go to those events, those networking events. In fact, this one wasn't even a networking event, but they usually have these Deloitte case competitions in Heinz especially, and I met my mentor there. So you never know where you meet people that you get along with or that will be helpful to you in your career. So like I said, don't just stick to academics, make use of the community.
And also a second thing, if you're really into research and those kind of opportunities, I'd really, really emphasize going up to professors that you like or professors that you connect with and just making a personal connection with them. Because a lot of times these professors and different people that are working in various departments always have some research opportunity or thing that they're working on over the summer or whenever it is. And they're always looking for undergraduates or graduate students for help and, you know, to help them along with their research. So if you're genuinely interested in a course and you love the professor, I'd definitely say just, you know, make a connection with them, and it could definitely pan out.
Yeah, and just to add up, for the career fairs, like, there's going to be a lot more of a crowd. You cannot visit every company out there who's there. Please plan in advance which companies you want to visit and be there before time. Like, usually it starts at 10, but I think, like, even if you go around 9, there's a huge line to get in, so.
Oh yeah, I remember, because they always organize it in the Rangos Hall, and or most of the time at least. And I remember every time I went to that event or helped organize it, there's even like half an hour before the event even started, there's like a line that just literally took a loop around the school and came back towards the entrance. So it is a long line. There's a lot of people who are looking for jobs, but don't be intimidated by that at all. It's honestly, I'd say go into job fairs trying to just make a connection with people. Don't try to bombard them with resume details or different things like that. Just try to make a connection with the people that you're talking to. Try to be memorable, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, you'll definitely have a good time there, and yeah.
You really have to optimize how you approach these career fairs, because it's like everybody is there in that one room, and you have all of these stalls. So I would really recommend that before the day, or at least, you know, that week, make sure you spend time looking at the company, looking at the roles or whatever it is that you might be interested in. Make a short list and then decide which companies you want to go to. Because if you're looking at these big companies, you're just going to be waiting in line. And the company is going to come and go, but you're not going to have a chance to talk to them. So just make sure you plan it out. Just to make the most of it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people just attend one company, like probably it's Google or Facebook. And what at the end of the day, Google and Facebook says is go and apply online. So
yeah.
That's what I want you all to avoid. It's good. I mean, you can definitely go and talk, but if you are intending to go and meet the big companies, I would say please go early, because otherwise the line is just going to be round. I mean, I just don't know how to explain it. So, yeah.
I just wanted to add a point on what he said about research opportunities with professors, right? I'm sure each school in CMU has a very good career counseling team as well. Yeah. And if you're really interested in a company or a particular industry, they will help you make connections. They'll point you in the right direction, and then you can take over. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, they touched upon it a little bit, is LinkedIn. If you are really interested in a particular field or you find some Carnegie Mellon alumni over there, use LinkedIn to reach out to them. I mean, the max that can happen is they won't respond, right? But if they do respond, it's all well and good.
Yeah, and I would say like please don't write a generic message on LinkedIn. Like basically if you replace this person's name with someone X person's name and X company, then probably most of the people are not going to end up replying. If you like something about them, about where they're working, you have something more to talk about what is your similarity with that role, just go and put that in.
So I wanted an answer on what did you do well or what could you have done better that would have made the transition from India to US more smoother, because we hear a lot of horror stories so-called from seniors and I don't think it's really that bad, so I would like to know the ground realities.
What are some of those horror stories?
Yeah.
Please share those seem more entertaining.
No, people say that it's really horrible and initially you won't be able to get any sleep and that and this and well.
Yeah, so I mean, like I touched upon, time management is very crucial. And I think there is an underlying current of being self-motivated that somehow doesn't come through our education system because we are always behind, somebody is behind us with a danda. When you're there, it is completely self-motivated. I mean, most of my classes didn't have attendance. So nobody cares if you go or not. It is your interest whether you spend so much money, you go there, learn something and come, right? So I think that transition, it's a mindset. You need to transition being more self-motivated, independent, and it's a process. Nobody goes there and magically becomes that. So you just need to take baby steps and monitor yourself whether you're, do on that path or you're still clinging to old habits. That's the only thing I can say.
Yeah, to add up, I would just say like your choice of courses in the first semester is going to decide how you're going to like end up. So I've seen people like thinking that they can do anything and everything with the number of courses they have allotted. They have 3 heavy courses. What happens at the end of the semester is probably they just don't have time to devote anywhere and they end up with a bad GPA. I mean, I know GPA does not matter, but in the first semester it comes more like an motivation point of view. I think like if you end up with like I'm just saying, this is what I think. If you end up with like a 2 point something GPA in your first semester, you're going to be probably depressed. I wouldn't say you get a 4-pointer, but like at least get an average GPA because that's going to keep your mental peace. I mean, you're going to see and like getting 4, I mean, I've seen a lot of people getting 4s and stuff. And so just make the right set of courses choice. Like don't think like I can just do 3-4 courses, whatever it is. Like there has to be a fine balance because you are moving into a new environment. You have a lot of other things to adjust with. And at the same time, you don't want to overburden yourself. I mean, you can try it in your second semester. Like I've seen people taking very heavy classes and the second semester turns out to be a burnout and then they end up taking classes which have no relevance to the job market and so.
But yeah, definitely just think about, what you or how capable you feel of the workload that you're putting yourself into. And I mean, you're going to be able to make time for things. Don't worry about that. But I've seen a lot of friends, overload on courses and think that they can handle it because, they're just going into it. It's like, oh, these courses sound fun. They sound easy. They're fine. And then, come a couple of months, they start burning out and, start not being able to keep up with everything. So honestly, just manage your time wisely, pick your courses wisely, and you should be fine, honestly. Like you will have the time to do those things as long as you put the time to put the effort in. I know going into college, even in high school, I was the biggest procrastinator. So if I can manage this, if I can learn to manage my time wisely, then I'm sure anyone can.
I would respectfully disagree with what Riya said in terms of your first semester decides the course of your next few. It's totally fine. It's a lot flexible. You can go slow. Just take the courses that you feel that you can do. And if you feel like you've missed out on something, you always have another semester that you can pick something else upon. And even if you don't do it, it's fine. Like it doesn't really matter. In terms of GPA, I guess, yeah, you need to sort of maintain at least some of it because that helps with your internships. But at the same time, don't let it become a horror story because it's really not worth it. one thing that you should probably do is have a good community there of your friends, like a support system, even if it's your family here or friends there, or even CMU itself is a good shoulder to lean on when you feel like things are getting to you. But yeah, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's not a big deal, and you shouldn't lose sleep over anything. You shouldn't try to shut the noise out, basically, you know. I never, fortunately, had any horror stories, but I know a few friends of mine, they used to get stressed out because of their roommates. Okay, I fortunately had a really good one, and I was a good one to her, so it worked out. But you know, these are things that you can work out, and you just need to figure out a way to be flexible, to adapt to those situations. Like, that's how you learn and grow, right? Like, don't let it get to you. And if it's so bad, just get another roommate, it's fine, you know, just find a solution, it's fine. So, you know, you shouldn't come back with horror stories, like that should be your goal.
And yeah, I definitely agree with the finding friends to, you know, friend community that you can keep yourself accountable to.
Yeah.
It's definitely, I think it's a good idea to at least, you know, especially in the same, like, you know, major as you or the same, you know, school as you, if you have some dedicated friends who are taking very similar classes to you, it's very easy to keep each other accountable to the work that you're doing. Because a lot of times you might even be working on projects together or different assignments together. So it's definitely a good support system. As for horror stories, I've had one personally. I overslept on a final, which is not good. It took my grade in that course all the way from an A to a D. Because they did not allow retests in that, unfortunately, for that course. But don't worry about that. Don't let that happen to you.
Get a good alarm.
Get a good alarm. My roommate had reset the alarm in our room, and so I woke up much later than I should have, because he didn't know that I was going to have a final at 8 or was it 9 in the morning. So. Yeah, don't let that happen to you, but even if it does happen, most courses also allow for retests in the case of really genuine reasons, and a lot of people are very flexible with that stuff. But even if it's not the case of oversleeping on a final or whatever, even if a horror story happens, like, I'm sure that you can, you know, get better. You can still, you know, salvage it, I guess, because I mean, even after that happening to me, I still have a great GPA. I still have everything on track for me. So honestly, you're going to be fine.
One of my professors actually changed my final exam because I missed a flight and I didn't reach there on the day of. So I was frantically like, I'm on my way to the airport, but I might miss my flight. Can I do this test later? And she's like, don't worry, yeah, you can take it later. So they're very accommodative and understanding. But yeah, try to get enough sleep so you wake up in the morning to get there, because yeah, you just need genuine reasons and they're accommodative.
So,
I think
sorry.
just the last point, please make use of TAs on campus. They're going to make your courses really peaceful, I think, because they are fellow students. They know, because they've been through the same, at some point in time, they're going to be helpful. Please do make use of this opportunity. Like, many people, like, we are not used to this concept of TAs here in India, but like, they can prove to be a plus for you.
Yeah, TAs are definitely one thing that I regret not doing earlier than I now use, because TAs are probably one of your best resources in any course. Most of the time, actually, I think almost all the time, they've taken the course already, so they know the material pretty well. And if you ever don't understand something, definitely go to them. They always have office hours at pretty convenient times as well, so you can always rely on them to help you out with different things. Don't go last minute though.
Yeah.
Don't be the person who, like, there's a final on Friday. Don't be the person who goes Thursday night and try to find a TA to help you out on that stuff, because they don't really appreciate that. Plan out what you don't like. If there's something you're not comfortable with material-wise in a course, be aware of that and go and take the initiative to go to the TAs much more in advance. But yeah, I definitely wish I had done or used TAs in my courses more effectively. I definitely, going into CMU, I had a bit of a pride thing about, like, I'll figure it out myself. Don't worry, like, I got this. Like, I can figure out the material. It's not rocket science. But yeah, definitely use your TAs. There's no downside to using them. And sometimes you can even become friends with them, which is great. So yeah.
Yeah, so these are great resources. My question is, do you also want to talk about if someone is really struggling with, say, stress or depression, like, cannot kind of achieve the academic success that is expected of him or her? Are there resources in at the university?
Yeah, for sure.
And,
Yeah.
so can you talk more about it?
I think you'd be talking about CAPS, which is they really help. Like a lot of times, there's a lot of students who deal with stress or depression. I myself went through a similar episode because of personal reasons, family reasons and stuff. So because of that, it did affect my performance in certain courses, just because I had to take time to focus on two different things. But is that my phone? So, sorry, I'm just going to turn it off. I'm really just going to turn it off. But yeah, there are resources on campus, very, very effective resources on campus like CAPS, which are, it's a kind of organization that helps students like that to just takes them through their, whatever situation they have and try to basically just help them through that process. Each student situation is unique, and they definitely understand that, and they definitely try to prescribe the best course of action for that student. And most of the time, it's always like, as far as I've seen, it's always been in the student's best interest to, use such resources because it definitely helps and definitely helps you get back on track.
Also, I don't think you need to reach like a breaking point for you to use these resources.
Yeah.
You can just go. If you just want to talk to someone other than your friends, other than your parents, you just want to talk to some stranger who actually can help you with, managing your stress. You have these resources and you have these counselors that are available. You just have to make an appointment and just go and see them. And yeah, I mean, it's always good to just not let it reach a stage wherein you're like, oh my God, what's happening to me?
Yeah, definitely. To give an example of that, one of my best friends, is in the School of Drama. He's a dramaturg, and he obviously, that kind of environment does tend to be stressful, but for him, it's never reached like a breaking point, as you said. He goes pretty much weekly to these kinds of resources, and he has a dedicated counselor or a person to talk to about just the events that go on every week, and it definitely helps him kind of put things into perspective and really just focus on his work more. So honestly, just use the resources when you can, or when you feel like it. Don't be afraid to be like, oh, this is not a big problem right now. I don't need to go yet. We don't want it to become a big problem, so go when you feel like going.
How are we doing on time? Okay.
Until the mic
Any
gets
questions
there.
from parents? Usually they're the
Yeah,
noisiest.
I'm actually really surprised by that.
Just to give you a tidbit, I've been doing the student receptions. I took a break, but every year I've done the student reception. I've got a question from a parent asking, where do you get a pressure cooker in Pittsburgh so that my child can have rice every day. So I was expecting that question today. But
Don't you get it
Do you
on
get the
Amazon
pressure
now?
cooker?
You might
you
get it on Amazon.
Yeah, this is pre-Amazon. Sorry.
No,
Grocery.
I mean, it is semi-serious. I mean, in terms of buying stuff and all that, do you have to carry a pressure cooker there? I mean, that's one thing. But
Don't carry pressure cooker.
Don't carry anything, please.
Yeah, you can.
I mean, in terms of food, just a general point, I mean, Pittsburgh has such a vibrant Indian community, and we live in the age of Amazon. So back in the day, your cousins, uncles and stuff would have gone with like 10 suitcases with like masala and all kinds of stuff. You don't need to do that. It's fine. You get whatever you need. There are Indian stores, there are Indian restaurants, there are pressure cooker stores. You get everything. So don't go like some, back in the day with overflowing suitcases.
There's also the temple in Pittsburgh, which is really famous. It's really big, and the food there is phenomenal. Like it's like the food you'd get in Malleshwaram. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Is it free?
It is. Oh, no, I think it's $2,
$2,
which is very reasonable.
So Mandoville Temple next to the near that there's a Udupi restaurant. if I'm not
Yeah. So you
yeah,
should go there.
yes.
But yeah, as for food, like honestly, me personally, I love to cook my own food. Definitely very into the whole health and fitness and lifestyle kind of thing. So I do have, there's abundance of places to go, Trader Joe's or different grocery stores. There's even various Indian stores and spices that you can just get very close to campus, actually. So you will have an abundance of things that you can get if you feel like cooking yourself. And we also have a lot of food options on campus. You know, it's not just a cafeteria kind of thing. It's various different food options scattered around campus with different cuisines. I think there's also an Indian cuisine, if I remember correctly, in the Resident Cafe.
Star of India.
Yeah, Taste,
Taste
of
of
India.
India.
Taste of India.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest, maybe not the best Indian food. But, you know, they at least attempted, you know? Like, it's at least an attempt to try to incorporate all different cuisines. Yeah, so you'll be fine.
So another small point I'd like to make, a cautionary note about food. There's this phenomenon in the US, it's called freshman 15. So consistently people, because the first time you're living on your own, right? So on the average, a college freshman puts on about 15 pounds. I probably put on more. I looked like a baby whale when I came back. My mom was like, who's this guy? So back to my point, just be very careful what you eat. It's obviously a different sort of diet. So I lived on pizzas and stuff. I don't recommend that. You're obviously smarter than I am, so cook more. Buy a pressure cooker, eat.
Buy
cook
bread.
food. Yeah.
Oh, and a word of advice, please drink lots of water. I realized that actually this happened to a friend of mine. He completely because it's your first time going, living on your own, and sometimes you just forget very basic things just because it's not like readily available to you, like as a meal or something. And he actually forgot to drink water for so long that he actually passed out. And hopefully that doesn't happen to you. So please do drink, be hydrated, be healthy with your choices, like food choices. I know you want to like splurge on like various treats and stuff, and it's definitely very tempting, but just be mindful about that.
Yeah, I think that's also because you don't get thirsty because you're either in AC or Pittsburgh, weather is so good. So you're just not hot, so you don't get thirsty. So it's easy to not want to drink water. But yeah, you should.
Okay, this is also a non-serious question. So if anyone wants to take the mic away, now's the time. Okay. So did you guys go around Pittsburgh? I mean, are there places you would recommend in and around Pittsburgh, few kilometers away, maybe a couple of hours drives away?
So the great thing about Pittsburgh, or great thing about CMU, is that it's pretty much like, it's not centrally located, but it's really close to a lot of different things. You can go downtown really easily. You can go to various, like, just the happening streets very, very easily. Oakland is a great neighborhood for a bunch of different restaurants, clubs, bars. I guess if you're 21, you better be 21, to go to those kind of things. But you'll have a lot of different things to try. Just recently, actually, I went to this axe throwing range, which is really fun. So yeah, there's a bunch of things that you can go and try out, and you'll have fun. Whatever kind of fun you're in the mood for, you're gonna have. It's gonna be there. So yeah.
So I would recommend find a friend who has a car. That really improves your experience.
For sure.
Because I survived 4 years on buses. Any undergrads here, do they still give the free bus pass?
They do still give the free bus pass, so that's good at least. But definitely find a friend who has a car.
Find a friend who has a car. Like, improve your experience like 2x.
To go outside of the city, yeah.
Even shopping and stuff, it's much easier once you have a car.
I mean, you can get in the bus, but the bus will take like 2 hours or something.
Yeah. Trust me, if you've spilled juice while carrying bags from Giant Eagle, you'll know that you're not welcome on the bus with groceries.
Don't get me wrong, the bus routes are still great. You can still use them. They're still very viable. I still use them a lot. But it is kind of a bonus to have a friend who has a car, just because it's more direct. So
I mean, it's not that you can't do without a car, because you just have more options if you have a car, basically. You're asking the wrong
I'm not
person.
really sure.
Yeah,
How easy it is to get a
Not sure at
car?
all.
lease a car,
So lease a car.
rent.
Yeah, it's very easy.
Actually,
that you
for
can.
renting a car,
Rent
there
is easy.
there are many services where you can literally just like within a few minutes get a zip car or whatever that is. I remember I still have the injury, but I was dancing and I twisted an ankle or injured my ligament, and one of my friends, I just called my friends like, hey, I can't move right now. Can you take me to the hospital? He didn't have a car, but within like 5 minutes, he booked a car, booked a zip car, and it was very close by, like in the CMU parking garage or something like that. And he just got the car, took me into the car and we went to the emergency care. So it's
Also, I mean, you
pretty
guys
easy.
have Ubers there, so
Yeah, there's also Uber. which
I
is
mean, they're
fine.
expensive, but like,
Yeah.
it's your choice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing, guys, when the panelists are talking, it would be good that you guys don't talk amongst yourselves, you know. And this is something we have to learn when we go to the US. Okay, sorry about that. Sorry for calling out.
Yeah, and one more point to add to that is you can rent a car on Indian license. It's better you get a US license as soon as, I mean, when you get over there, but you can rent a car on Indian license. Right?
Oh, so I mean, winter break depends on the kind of, I guess, what you're into. I know my first winter, I was a part of the ski and snowboard team, so we actually went to winter training, and we went into a lodge in the middle of some hill, and that was a fun time. But like most of the times for winter break, if you're not coming home, it can get kind of lonely.
Yeah.
I've noticed that. But I'm sure you can. But hopefully by the time, I'm not saying it's a requirement, but like hopefully you have some friends who want to hang out and want to go to different places for a trip or a road trip maybe or whatever it is. But you can also focus on work, I guess.
Yeah, but you have overnight buses to New York. Like there's Megabus, you
That's
have
really
overnight
nice.
buses to New York. Hopefully you'll have a few people, a few friends there, that you could just crash at their place and explore the city. Not that Pittsburgh cannot be explored. I love Pittsburgh, and I'm like generally into the art scene, and Pittsburgh because like Andrew Carnegie and all of those people, you have like all of these really nice museums and symphonies and lots of events in general. If you're interested in that, you could do that. Don't drive anywhere in the winters, I would recommend. Yeah, you could just like step out of the city, just explore places around Pittsburgh.
The best part about the art stuff and like the symphonies and everything, it's literally down the road
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Carnegie
The
Mellon.
free
So
bus ride.
You could walk there in 5 minutes or just take a bus ride and just get there immediately. There's a bunch of shows like that. But yeah, you'll definitely still have a lot to explore in Pittsburgh as well. That's a great thing to do in the winter. I unfortunately have never actually spent the winter or the entire winter in Pittsburgh, but or like on campus. But a bunch of my friends still had plenty of things to do. I've been there for 2 years now. I still have not explored all of Pittsburgh, so you're gonna have a lot of fun things to do there.
I think there's one
So,
question in the back. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so my question is more centered around transport, going back to that topic. How common are two-wheelers? Like, do people have bikes and scooters like they have in Bangalore and other?
No, it's pretty uncommon to see two-wheelers. There still are two-wheelers. People do still have bikes, but I think those are just personal bikes that a lot of times they're very expensive bikes too. It's not like the kind of thing where you can that you see in Bangalore where there are bikes everywhere and two-wheelers and motorcycles and that. I'd say there's a lot of bicycles, and it's actually really nice to have a bicycle if you want to just if that's what you're into. It's a very great way to travel around the city, and yeah, I mean, there's also even a biking community for that kind of stuff. So you'll definitely have a lot of fun with that too if you're into that.
Okay,
Thanks.
this should be the last question because
Yeah.
our speaker is waiting for us, and I would encourage everybody to remain here and wait for our speaker to come as well. So let this be the last one.
Yeah. Hi. Coming back to bicycles, I'm here. Yeah. So
where are
back to bicycles. Do you get cycles inside the campus to commute within the campus, or
No.
You don't they don't give it to you, but
is it available for rent? Is there a service of that
I'm
some
not
sort?
really
So-
sure. I've never seen that, but
Also,
maybe.
I don't think you needed to commute within the campus because
It's not that
CMU's
big a
campus
campus,
is not
yeah.
that big.
It's not a big
Yeah.
campus, but it's a great campus.
Yeah, it's a great campus though, but it's not you don't need a bike to get around it.
So yeah, I think we're out of time.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank my fellow panelists. It was really good to, I hope you guys took something away from it. And if you have further questions, we'll be around. So
there'll
feel
be-
free to catch
there's
us.
like
And
a networking event at 7 or so.
Yeah.
So yeah, whenever if you have more questions,
Yeah, just-
we'll still be
just
around.
Find
so
us
don't
and
worry
ask us
about it.
whatever you
yeah,
want to know.
all right.